Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9er clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Kennard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Kennard's going to have to go around. Kennard, go around. Kennard, go around. Kennard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Kennard?
Yeah, Kennard.
All right, Kennard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Kennard's got the jet in sight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, you're on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around.
Yeah,
Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that after 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep it.
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us tonight. You'll notice there's no Ian again tonight, but tonight he's actually having a genuine night off, very well deserved. So filling his seat is Annabelle Cook. Hello, Annabelle.
Hello.
And we're also without Johnny. So stepping into the Johnny void is Dave White. Thanks both of you for filling in. So Dave, and we've called Dave Calderwood DC tonight just to avoid the two Daves confusion. And extra marks, extra points if you get what's going on between Annabelle and DC's usernames on screen.
Is it something to do with headsets?
It's not overcomplicated.
Not complicated. Well, it was tough for me. It took me a while. So
Yes.
Okay. Also with us tonight is our special guest, Dr. Jason Hill, the CEO of Britain's newest helicopter company, Hill Helicopters. He'll be along later to talk to us and tell us what it takes to get a very clean sheet design helicopter over the line and flying. And this is an incredible project. It's new airframe, new engine, and new avionics, a big factory, and all the things that come together to try and achieve that. So, yeah, looking forward to that. But first, thanks to our sponsors, Sky Demon. Here's tonight's top tip, and it's presented by Rob.
Hi, I'm Rob from Sky Demon, and here's another top tip.
In this video, we will look at fuel you intend to have on board and how that feeds into Sky Demon's calculations. With the route on screen, open up the Flight Details menu. Let's take a quick note of the weight summary here and endurance summary here before pressing on fuel. Dismissing the keyboard for a moment, this is the screen which shows Sky Demon's estimate for your fuel requirements for the planned route as calculated with reference to your aircraft profile. We can then tap into the fuel field to specify how much fuel we intend to take on board for the flight. When we go back out to the main part of the Flight Details menu, we can now see the effect our change has made to the endurance and weight values.
For more information, check out our website, www.skydemon.aero.
And don't forget, if you've got a question for Sky Demon for the next round of live stream videos, then please email us at sdq@sega.aero and we will pass those on. So you could influence what the next round of videos will be. So, yeah.
One thing we learned today, some of us did, is that there's different music for each of the presenters on the Sky Demon tip. So
I can't believe you never noticed that.
Rob,
I can't believe you didn't know what AC/DC was.
Anyway, it's time for the weather. So Simon, is this rain ever going to stop?
Yeah, that's the ultimate question, isn't it, Dave? It's not going to be a bad weekend. I've got to say, I've seen worse, I've seen better, but yeah, I think most of us are going to be getting some flying in during the course of this weekend. But it has been quite a wet one, hasn't it, so far this week? Shall I show you what's going on, what we can look forward to? Let's get some graphics up there, and look at that. You can see Ed whirring away. Fantastic.
There we go.
Here we go. So this is Friday then. We've got a weak ridge of high pressure actually building in for tomorrow. Tomorrow not looking too bad a day at all. I think generally for most of us it's pretty fair. Bases are going to be up at around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Tops around about 8,000 feet. Maybe 1 or 2 showers just coming into northwest England, possibly into northern Scotland. But generally it looks like being not too bad. Westerly winds getting in about 15 knots also. So I think it's one to be taking advantage of if you can. Saturday also is not bad, particularly central and eastern parts of the country at first. This is the position at midday, though, with fronts coming through Ireland, getting into Wales and southwest England. And again, these are going to be producing low cloud and fog over hills and coasts, probably by mid to late morning across western Wales and southwest England. Elsewhere, not bad at all, actually. Fairly high cloud, which will break quite nicely in some bright spells. But then the cloud kind of streams in ahead of this warm front. And during the afternoon, this spills its way eastwards and basically turns this into quite a murky, misty afternoon. You see here the forecast of cloud ceilings for midday. These red colours really are spelling bad news for us. And you see at midday, western, southern areas seeing those. But then if you transport that on by 3 hours and move all of those red colours eastwards, that pretty much sets us up then for the afternoon. So Saturday morning is best for most of us. Now, the fronts finally clear away on Sunday. May take a little bit of time to get away from East Anglia and the far southeast, but they are going to be clearing. By midday, you see just the remnants of some cloud here showing about 1,000 to 2,000 feet across southeastern England, but that will be clearing away. Now, following behind the cold front, much better conditions, light winds, northwesterlies, and I think bases around about 4,000 feet, tops about 10,000 feet. May just be a few showers getting into western parts of Scotland, western parts of England, western parts of Wales as well. You can see those here, look, just on the cloud ceiling forecast. It overplays it a little bit, but their typical bases around about 2,000 feet in the showers, but otherwise about 3,000 feet. So actually, Sunday, not bad. And I think it's going to be Sunday afternoon for most of us, actually, which presents the better flying weather. So I think overall, I'll probably give the weekend around about a 6 to a 7 out of 10. Like I say, it could be a lot worse. And of course, we're getting those longer days now as well, aren't we? So we can take advantage of it. So, yeah, enjoy it, whatever you're doing. Don't forget, get a weatherschool.co.uk. Get yourself booked on Aviation Weather School Part 1, which is going to be next on the consecutive Tuesday evenings of the 12th and 19th of March. Lucky you, you get to spend a couple of evenings with me. But as I say, go to weatherschool.co.uk and you can find out more. Now, have a great and a safe flying weekend, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Before you go, Simon, Paul Fraser Benison asks, Simon, in Australia, what does RF 0.00 mean?
I haven't got a clue. Yeah, ask a proper Met man. I don't know. Is it a trick question, Paul? Do you actually know what it means? Because that's a new one on me.
It seemed like I clicked on it and I'm going, this will be a long shot.
Yeah, it's very long. It's very long. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know what that one is. But I'll find out. I'm on it straight away.
On that bombshell. Thanks, Simon. We'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Fantastic.
Thanks,
Annabelle. Oh, no, Dave.
It's me. With a question of the week. But before we go into my question of the week, I'm answering a question from Chris Winter in the comments. Was that a tail rotor or was it a distress signal from me at the top of the show? It was a tail rotor. That is my seeking tail rotor as opposed to my Lynx tail rotor, which is on the wall. So there we go. We're dedicated. Now, question of the week. Do you have a 2024 flying goal? Put it in the comments. I bet there's loads of people got some interesting plans for this year. I have guaranteed that the weather's going to be great. For my flying goal, what I might call an own goal, I'm going to go to Italy on the Raduno. Please come along if you want to. You will love it. And I'm also going to do more formation.
Well, I'm hoping to come along with you to the Raduno, but in my own aeroplane.
Yay.
So, yeah, that is my main goal. Get Big Red to Raduno. But I'm also doing my seaplane rating in May. And then I'll put floats on Big Red and I'll fly down to Lake Como.
Excellent. Will you write that up for Flyer, please? Because I'm really interested in float plane ratings over this side of the Atlantic.
Yeah, that's a really good plan. I like that. Eretiques says of your tail rotor, that needs polishing, Dave.
Oh, it doesn't. It's gorgeous, that one. It's a presentation.
We've got an answer on the RF. RF apparently is rainfall. So I'm guessing RF 000 is no rain. Yeah, there we go. Answers. Yeah, rain. There we go. Stuart, everyone's at it now. Rainfall over a specific time. And Michael says your glass tower. Is that a going concern, Annabelle?
Well, it's concerning. Yes, that's for sure.
It will go when it gets an engine.
Yes, define go.
Yes, flying. That's yeah, definitely. Good, right, and that leads us into you, Annabelle. You've got some
it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. Are you already a club member? If not, why not? For just £5 a month, you get loads of member benefits, including the member-only Sky streams, copyright me, on a Wednesday and our monthly webinars. Next members webinar is Tuesday, the 20th of February. That's next week with Steve Morley. He'll be telling us about night flying. Remember, if you have missed any webinars, they are available for members on catch-up. Club members also get free landing fees, and this month they are Rougheth East, Leicester, Perth, and Henstridge.
Fantastic. Very good. £5 a month. One of the best deals in aviation, we think.
Yes. Right. Are we into the news now?
We are into the news, Dave, and you've got the first story.
I've got the first story, and it's probably the most complicated one to try and understand. It's about NATS and the consultation they've started on what they call Open Sky. This is their proposal for managing airspace going forwards. The rumor is that they're a bit fed up with the CAA dragging its feet over what to do about drones and eVTOLs and how to integrate them into airspace. So NATS has come up with its own suggestions, and earlier this week we kind of took the view. Ian took the view that it was going to result in us being charged to and having to file a flight plan every time we wanted to just go for a local bimble. NATS have now come back just literally the last day to say that's not the case. They're not planning to charge. They don't disagree with everything that we say. What they do say in their reply is it's important to note that as part of the open air consultation, NATS does not plan to charge airspace users for air traffic services in integrated airspace. But a bit further on, they do say that the aim of the proposal is to provide universal data sharing and network management to the growing number of air navigation service providers. Those service providers would bear the cost. Excuse me, I'm using old-fashioned paper here. They'll bear the cost of the NATS open air service. So somebody along the line is going to have a cost. Yeah. Somebody along the line is going to want to try and recoup that cost. So as always with these kind of things, the devil is in the detail, and we await what comes. At the moment, it's still as clear as mud.
Yeah. But we got the follow-up information thanks to Pete Stratton at BGA. So, but yeah, quite why they didn't provide, because clearly when you put a consultation out like that, and it's got stuff in that makes people think, oh God, charging for airspace. Quite why you don't put some disclaimers in, going, actually, we don't mean that for some of these things. Surely it's a good bit of firefighting.
Well, yeah.
Particularly the, let me say, suspicion that people have got about consultations over the last few years, what's asked, what's responded to, and what actually happens.
Yeah. I mean, it is fair to say also that there's a lot of fed up people in the drone industry with the way the CAA is. I've heard the phrase "dragging their feet." I just think it's a very hard decision, and they don't know what to do. They're not sure what to do yet.
And it's amazing, really, isn't it? Because if you've operated in the aviation world and you've dealt with things like certification, you go, it all takes time. I'm guessing there's new people coming into it, going, why is it so slow?
Yes, that's exactly what they're saying. Yeah. So anyway, interesting to see how that develops. If you were here last week, you'll remember Ian wasn't around because he was at the 2023 Poolies International Dawn to Dusk Competition Awards dinner. The awardees and top prize winner, and I've seen him in the comments earlier, was Derek Pake, who won the Duke of Edinburgh Trophy for his airborne challenge, which I think was a complete circumnavigation of Ireland in his Vans RV8 with co-pilot Pete Turner. So second prize, which was the Coventry Trophy, was won by Teresa McDonald and Amanda D, Jessica Phillips, and Gail Collins, who did Australia in a day. And I think that was probably wasn't all of Australia. It was 1,905 nautical miles, which is really, really impressive. And the third place Tiger Club Trophy went to Daniel and Anna Langton, which was their challenge. It was called Dragons at Dawn and Dusk, an Arthurian adventure in a Pegasus Quick GT 450. So fantastic. Well done to all of them. There was a Best Video Award as well. That went to Jason Davidson and Simon Shackle.
who flew a PA-44. A whole bunch of awards were presented, a number of live stream viewers, I recognise their names in some of the awards. And 2024, Dawn to Dusk, the entries for that have just opened, and it's a great year to take part. It's the 60th anniversary of the competition. So if you've always thought about it but never done it, then I think this year it's the year for you. I'll put a link in the comments to Pooley's Dawn to Dusk, and why not take a look? Maybe you can take part. So,
if you want some ideas, then Derek's actually going to come and talk to us. Derek is our guest on the live stream on the 14th of March.
Derek says, my challenge for 2024 is to try and win again. Well, what a great challenge.
And the other thing that people should know, and hopefully, hint, Derek might put a link in the comments, Derek and Kate's submission included a brilliant video, clearly going to get a lot of money from the Irish Tourist Board, with music, I think, by Derek's daughter, and it's great. It honestly is. You need to watch it.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
Derek, make sure you put a link to that in the comments. We'd love to. I'm sure everyone would love to see that. So, Annabelle, tell us about flowery things in France.
Yeah, France is flowery, it's blossoming. Yeah. So this is the news that an association in France that is dedicated to improving and championing the biodiversity of aeronautical space saw substantial growth in its membership last year. 27 new members have joined, so the membership is now over 90. So the association has been around for 10 years, and it aims to evaluate, promote and improve the biodiversity of aeronautical land in France and overseas. They have a team of 21 naturalists, and they go out to survey each site looking at bird and plant species. I think this is a brilliant idea. I'm actually really surprised I hadn't come across it before, because airfields are fantastic green spaces. And it says on their website that the safety is their priority. So increasing biodiversity, this could have really positive benefits. I'd really like to see airfields in the UK doing something like this. So I don't know if anyone's aware of anything happening like that in the UK. Maybe you could pop some comments.
I think Bodmin has just had a special award, hasn't it? It's been recognised for its biodiversity. So I'm sure other airfields are looking into it.
Yeah, and now we can insert some puns about seed funding.
Just get you going again.
Yeah.
Right.
DC.
Next story is me. I was drifting off there in the field of dreams.
No, I was very careful about my pronunciation. Thank you, of naturalists.
So the story is about hundreds of people have signed a petition to try and save Plymouth Airport. If you recall, Plymouth Airport is been closed by the operator, Sutton Harbour Group, since 2011. It's coming up to an important deadline, which is the expiry of what's called the safeguarding clause. This is established to make sure it stays in aviation. It's coming up to expire in March. So lots of people are getting very agitated to make sure that that safeguarding clause is renewed. And of course, the Plymouth City Council itself is trying to persuade the operator to reopen the airport, or at least, if they're not going to, give up the lease. Now, Sutton Harbour Group is a property developer. They're very successful around Plymouth. I live in Plymouth, so I see them all the time. And most of their projects are down by the coast, on the right down by the docks and around there. And they've done some great stuff. But what they want to build up at on Plymouth Airport, they have built already on some of the sites. What they want to build is more houses and some industry, and they're fighting back. They're saying they don't want to give up the lease. They've been, it's just not viable. So that's coming to a head. If you wanted to sign a petition, the petition was started by a local politician who, an independent, who wants to get as do most of the political parties actually in Plymouth, they want to get the airport reopened. They feel that the lack of an airport is dragging the city down. You have to say that the roads and train to Plymouth are painful, very painful most of the time. So an airport would be a very good thing to do.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. The other story, a bit more airfield news. There's been some development in the Doncaster Airport reopening. the local councils who have formed a combined authority, they've just had a vote, which is the first stage of a process to unlock £138 million worth of funds to develop the airport and make it part of the industrial fabric of that area of the country. So there's good news there. It looks like it's going. It's progressing along. Quite slowly, it seems at times, but it is going along. Yeah.
Dave White.
Dave White. So, Airability Live. Some of you may remember a really interesting event during the time of COVID that the fantastic charity Airability that we spoke about before on here ran, which was called the Armchair Air Show. Effectively, what they did was they had a number of pre-recorded segments, a number of well-known people from the air show community presenting live so that people could see it without leaving their house. We're going to do that again, but now it's called Airability Live. It's going to take place at Blackbush. It's at Blackpool then. I'm desperately looking for the date. I didn't underline it, but I don't think the date is in the press release at the moment. But the key thing this time is that there will also be a live show at Blackbush. And that will have a limited number of tickets. So if you want to go to Blackbush. If you can't go, even if you're on the other side of the world, join in. The really could do with everybody's support.
And such a great charity. Oh, there we go. We've got dates. Saturday, 15th of June, 2024.
Thank you.
That saves me Googling. Good. Well, nice. There we go. Oh, hang on. I've lost track of my mouse. Right. I hate it when that happens. Perfectly timed for our guest. Dave, I'll leave you with the introduction while I bring Jason in.
Okay, our guest tonight is Dr. Jason Hill, whose company, Hill Helicopters, is developing in Britain a brand new single-engine 5-seat helicopter from scratch. I mean, Jason, we were talking earlier, in his own words, he's a helicopter nutcase, hooked on helicopters since he was a kid. But what is incredible about this project, one of the things that's incredible about this project, is that practically every single part of the helicopter, the airframe, the engine, the gearbox, the rotors, the rotor head, undercarriage, and the cabin and the avionics are being developed by Jason and his team. I mean, that's an incredible thing to take on. Jason, that's counter to the industry norm. Every other aircraft manufacturer, rotary or fixed wing, they all buy in the power unit for a start, and they concentrate on the airframe. Have you got a hair shirt complex or something? Why take this very difficult route?
I think really it's not by choice is the first thing you have to understand. If we were able to design the aircraft that we wanted by referring out to the existing supply chain and essentially just be a system integrator, then that would be a much easier way to do it. The problem is all of general aviation has become market stiflingly expensive. And to be able to deliver a machine with the level of refinement, with the level of performance, and the kinds of attributes that today's would-be helicopter owner-operators would want, you've really got to do it yourself because you just can't buy the stuff. And the engine is really the epitome of that problem. You know, we didn't set out to design an engine. We looked at absolutely every option that was out there, and you just cannot hit either the price or the performance that you need without firstly having to use a gas turbine engine, and then to hit the price, clearly you've got to do it yourself. So it's been forced upon us, really.
But isn't the reason behind the price is because of the high cost of development and also the high cost of certification? I mean, you still got to face those same things.
You have, but you've got to understand that's a vicious circle if you get on the wrong side of it. So if you've got enough customers, and to get enough customers, you've got to have a product that's good enough to sell and appeal to a number of customers. So if you design something that's good enough, you'll get a lot of customers. If you get a lot of customers, you can amortize those development costs and approval costs over a larger number of people. That's essentially what we've done and what we're doing. So no, it isn't the certification costs of a light aircraft like this that's the barrier, and the development costs again are not massive if you've got enough customers. Let's not forget that our nearest competitor has sold almost 14,000 helicopters now. That's a lot of helicopters to amortize development costs over, even if you spend an awful lot at it.
Mm-hmm. So you don't come to this as a complete stranger to helicopters. Your whole background has been that. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you've come to this position?
Well, I think you described me very accurately as a helicopter nutcase. I was sort of fascinated with helicopters from a very young age, and I knew quite early in life that this is what I wanted to do, and so I set about educating myself to be able to do this. So all my schooling was engineering focused, science and maths focused. I did a mechanical engineering first degree. My PhD was in computational helicopter aerodynamics. I did that working for Westland as it was then, Leonardo as they are now. My PhD was funded by them as well, and then I did a little bit of lecturing for a while I sort of recovered financially from 10 years at university, and then set up an engineering consultancy. And in my engineering business, we essentially did product development, high-end analysis and design to all of the high integrity industries in all different sectors. I built up a very large amount of knowledge and experience of how things are made and how things are developed in all industries. So not just aerospace, automotive, the nuclear industry, the defense industry, the medical industry. And that gave me a much broader perspective on how to go about developing a new light aircraft than you'd get from the accepted norms of general aviation. From that, then I essentially used my engineering company as a vessel to incubate the technology development and the early development stages of the aircraft. And of course, when you're only able to offset the profits of first a small company and then a growing company and a venture like this, it takes a long time to get that groundwork done. So that sort of stuff really took place between about 2007 and about 2015. After that, because we'd made sufficient progress and we had sufficient standing, we were able to attract a little bit of UK government funding. That allowed me to turn more of my staff onto the development of the aircraft. And then at that point, the thing really took off because we rapidly moved through development, and we got to the point where we knew that what we got was a compelling enough proposition to be able to take to the market. So we went out to the private owner helicopter market that was very frustrated with what was on offer from other places, and proposed a set of incentives to take an early slot from us in return for a non-refundable deposit that has then catapulted us to where we are today. So in a nutshell, this has really been fueled by a guy that knows what he's doing and market conditions that were just right to reignite general aviation in helicopters.
You had a big reveal, if you like, back in December.
Yep.
You showed some examples of the helicopter.
Yep.
You have to say, it looks fantastic. Can you tell us a bit about some of the features?
The helicopter is very much designed as a helicopter that is perfectly suited to a private owner operator. So one of the problems you get with traditional helicopters is they tend to have a sort of an hourly TBO, which you'll all be familiar with aeroplanes as well, and a calendar life. But for helicopters, these calendar lives are pretty short. And that generally means that on, say, a 12 or a 15-year interval, you build in a depreciation mechanism that means that the helicopter will drop from its ticket price when you bought it to very little as it approaches these very expensive overhaul periods. And so we've designed an aircraft that's essentially got a much longer TBO, so a 5,000-hour TBO, which for a typical private helicopter owner is about 100 years worth of flying. So they're never going to wear the thing out. And then we've gone on condition, which modern manufacturing processes, composite materials, modern corrosion protection processes make viable today. And it wasn't possible to do that previously. So the depreciation mechanism, which drives the fixed operating costs of light helicopters, has been slayed by that. So first of all, we got the financial basis right. So pitch it at a level where you can either afford to buy one or you can afford to finance one at the same price as a supercar. That then opens up a potential market just in the top 10 territories around the world of about 100,000 people that are currently buying vehicles of that sort of price point. So you've got a market to address then. Then you've got to make the machine exciting to them. So what we've done is we've developed a machine that's got enough power to have performance that's exciting. So this machine will carry 5 95-kilo passengers, 3 to 3.5 hours worth of fuel, your bags, and then sit at 140 knots for that period. So you can really go places in this machine. It's got performance that makes a difference. We haven't squeezed the performance to the point that you can't do anything with it anymore. In addition to that, we've tried to make the whole experience of flying as simple as possible. So we've developed our own digital cockpit that makes VFR flying simple and intuitive. You don't have to have spent 20 years in the RAF to be able to fly one of these things. If you're new to general aviation or you're thinking about getting into general aviation, we've made the user interface as intuitive and as modern as you possibly can. Then in terms of the core dynamics of the aircraft's been designed to have very benign handling qualities. In a helicopter, power really matters. Lots of the ways that you can get yourself into trouble in a helicopter come down to having inadequate power margins to execute the maneuvers that you want. So we have a 500 horsepower gas turbine engine. That performance is available all the way up to 10,000 feet on an ISA plus 15 day. So without going way outside of the operating limits, you will never run out of power in this machine. And then the other thing that we've done is we've provided a high inertia composite main rotor system with 3 blades. That then means that in gusty weather, in turbulent air, or when mishandled by the pilot, the machine is very robust under those circumstances. So we've tried to make this as forgiving to inexperienced, infrequently flying pilots as we can, and we've made flying it as simple and the workload of flying it as light as it possibly can be. So that's the real thing. And then of course the main thing, we've just made it look so good that people want it. So yeah, that's the essence of what HX50 is about.
Where did the inspiration for the styling come from? It looks, you mentioned supercars, it does kind of look supercar-ish.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of principles. So I mean, fundamentally, it's a tadpole. It's a raindrop with a long tail. So the basis for it starts with trying to make something that's fundamentally aerodynamically efficient. It was always with a helicopter, unlike a fixed wing aircraft, a lot of the drag comes from the mechanical bits that attach the rotor system. So in a traditional helicopter, about 1/3 of the total drag comes from the main rotor pylon and hub, not the blades, just the mechanical bits. So we wanted to cowl all of that in to get the drag down, to get the cruise speed up and the performance right. And then with the retractable undercarriage, there's lots of reasons for doing that. But again, one of the driving reasons is to get the drag down so this thing will comfortably sit at 140 knots. And then beyond that, what we were trying to do is to try and keep the styling as organic in its themes as possible, so it ages gracefully. If we were to go all Lamborghini with it, or all of the moment, it would look very tired in about 5 years. And if you look around at the fleet of general aviation aircraft we've got now, they're 40, 50 years old. And so this thing still needs to look like something you recognize in 40 or 50 years. And the best way to do that is to keep it organic and muscular. And then the few sort of strokes of Henry's pen that you can see down the waistline of the aircraft and the few creases that we've got in there, just to elevate the surface quality and to elevate the perceived value of it to contemporary automotive standards, but without going so far that when next year's fad comes in, it'll look out of date.
Right. You mentioned the controls and how you've worked on those. Will it still fly like a normal helicopter?
Yeah, it's totally conventional. So it's got a conventional collective, a conventional cyclic, and conventional pedals. The only thing that we've done is, as standard, this helicopter comes out with a stability augmentation system. You can't buy one without an autopilot. And the reason for that is Helicopters tend to fly under the weather rather than above the weather than like IMC aeroplanes can, and so we need to make sure that the machine's as benign and simple to fly and as stable as it possibly can when operating around the marginal weather that we get in countries like the UK and other parts of the world. So it flies totally conventionally. It's a normal stick-flown helicopter with mechanical controls and hydraulic boosting of those controls, but every single aircraft has a 2-axis autopilot, which means it's fundamentally stable. It will just hold an attitude like a trimmed out aeroplane will, but on top of that we can select altitude hold or speed hold or heading hold, or it can follow a navigation course directly from the iPad that's coupled to the flight control computer.
And an option is a 4-axis autopilot.
Yeah, so the 4-axis autopilot gives us the potential to do much more. So it gives you the potential to provide full envelope protection, protect the pilot from things like vortex ring stay, provide RPM governing in engine failure. So when you've had an engine failure and you need to enter auto rotation, with a 4-axis autopilot, the machine can get you into auto rotation and it can manage your rotor RPM while you're on your descent and looking out the window to find a suitable place to land. So all of these features are about making the aircraft as safe as possible in the hands of guys that are really going to struggle to fly more than 50 hours a year.
So I've had a few helicopter flying lessons. I have to say I wasn't very successful at it, but it seemed to me that every time you do one thing, you've got to do another. So if you add in if you're adding a bit of climb, you obviously got to pull on a bit more power. And then you've got to control the yaw. You're always moving something.
Yeah, so a completely unstabilized manual helicopter is quite a challenging thing to fly. So in the old days, you'd have a collective pitch lever which adds pitch to all the blades. That's how you go up and down. But if you pull more pitch on the blades, you're going to need to add engine power. So you then have to manipulate the throttle with your left hand. And when you did all of that, that's all cross-coupled with your cyclic pitch as well. So you'd have responses in pitch and rollers. So they're all horribly cross-coupled. With modern helicopters, almost all helicopters now have an RPM governor. So you pull the lever up, you push the lever down, that's up and down, and the rotor RPM will take care of itself. That's been around since the 1980s, really. So that's a lot simpler. But the controls are all still cross-coupled. Helicopters are inherently unstable. So modern helicopters, and in fairness, all brands now will offer the option to buy an autopilot, which puts helicopter stability back on a par with their fixed wing counterparts. So that's been available. That's not something we're doing especially. It's just we're doing it ourselves, and it's a core ingredient in the essence of the helicopter. So everyone has stability augmentation. So hovering the helicopter will be simpler than it's ever been before, because essentially it will hold an attitude and you're just keeping it over a common point. And then with the 4-axis, you get your stability added, so it will keep it pointing in the right direction. And then you're into just commanding which way you want to go in 3 dimensions. So we've made the whole thing a lot simpler to fly than has previously been the case. And again, that's really about opening out the addressable market and then making sure that when these non-commercial people come and fly that aren't flying all the time, they haven't got such a workload to contend with that it becomes overly taxing and has the potential to put you on the wrong side of the accident statistics.
Yeah.
And Jason, I think I'm right in saying that it's been incredibly successful in terms of orders, hasn't it? And where are you in terms of orders and heading towards first flight of prototype?
So in terms of orders, I think the total now is 1,233. So we've sold, I'm just checking my numbers, we've sold 881 of the X model, which is the private focus machine, and then 352 of the fully certified commercial machine. And there's no sign of those slowing down. So people recognize what this offers, and it's really just a case of at what point people want to come and join us, where they are in the whole risk reward spectrum.
Yeah.
You mentioned sorry, carry on.
And what's the difference between you've got the HX, which is the private, is that a builder assist version?
Sorry, I should have clarified that. So in order to manage our time to market, we've bought the X and the C models are identical. They're technically identical. There is no difference between them at all. For the X models, which is the majority of the machines that we've sold, then it's essentially brought to market in the UK under a permit to fly. So it's still, the basis for approval is still CS27. So it's still a normal category rotorcraft. It meets all of the certification requirements. The engine's done to CSE. So all of those things are as per fully certified. But it's much quicker for us to get through the engineering development, the testing, and then the approval process and get those machines to market and get the business generating a revenue. While the longer certification process that isn't dominated by the time it takes us to do the tests, but the capacity that the authorities have to process the applications that they have, it allows us to get the machines out into market sooner. And the implications of that for an owner are that essentially the owner will come to the factory for a 2-week period and get a plethora of experiences being involved in the build of their aircraft, but also learning about the bits that don't fall within the criteria for them having to build. They don't have to build gearboxes or engines or rotor heads or blades or avionics, but they'll get to see how we build those things. They get to understand what all of these bits in their aircraft actually do, so they become much more informed and knowledgeable independent owner operators. They have the knowledge to understand whether that leak's important or that crack's important or what that bit does over there. And so we're trying to equip people with the knowledge that they need to own and operate a helicopter independently, because again, unlike an aeroplane, which might be based in a municipal hangar or something like that, a lot of these machines are going to live at home with their owners, and the only time these people are going to see any form of instructor is when they do their LPC or have a safety pilot to fly them to Cheltenham or something for the races. So they need to be properly supported by us to make sure that they're able to operate safely.
And the HXs will all be on CAA permit, won't they? I think the CAA very early on were very supportive of your concept, weren't they?
The CAA have been instrumental in developing this route to market for us. We were, I developed this with the head of the GA unit back in 2016, where you fuse the regulations from the certified standard aircraft with the permit to fly route to ease the transition to market. It doesn't diminish it's not a lesser standard of airworthiness or not. It just deals with the inherent problems of there physically isn't enough capacity in the regulatory system around the world to do this any faster. And that would mean any company is stillborn, essentially, unless they've got buckets of stock market money behind them. You couldn't get through that process fast enough to keep breathing, unfortunately.
Yeah. We've got a question from Richard Kennedy. He said, could you talk a little bit about the engine and what you've done that makes it different from what's on the market already?
So I think the thing to understand about the aircraft and the engine, and those of us that have been following us will have heard me say this before, think of our products as a greatest hits album. We're not inventing anything. There is nothing new here. What we've done is taken a bunch of established ideas, this applies equally to the helicopter as the engine, and pull those together and take end-to-end control of the manufacturing of those things. So we've got our engine is a very conventional layout. It's a 2-shaft simple cycle gas turbine engine. It's got a gas generator with a single stage centrifugal compressor, a single stage bladed disc compressor turbine, and then a separate shaft with a rear power takeoff that's a single stage power turbine through a reduction gearbox that runs underneath the engine and back up to the main rotor gearbox. The technology is very conventional. You've got a machine from solid titanium impeller. We've got equiax cast individual blades on forged discs. We've got a dual channel FADEC. That's different to a lot of the low-end turbine engines in that they still use hydromechanical governors, and it's only the slightly higher variants of those engines that have either mechanical reversion plus FADEC or dual channel FADEC. But the price point of those engines is around 10 times what it costs me to make this thing. So it's really an exercise in being able to, it's twofold. It's an exercise in being able to design the engine exactly the engine I needed to get the performance I want out of the aircraft. But moreover, it's a way of controlling the purchase cost and the operating cost of the aircraft to a level that can bring general aviation back to life again.
Yeah, fantastic. Dave Boxall asks, what about timeline? First engine run, flight, and first customer?
Yeah, so the engine we're developing and building out in stages. So we're doing the combustion tests at the moment. We've got a single channel fuel burner test rig that they're actually trying to light right now in the factory. That should run. If it doesn't run by the end of this week, it'll be next week. And then the next test is our combustion test for our full annular combustor. Then we move on to the gas generator and then the full engine. And all of that process will have been completed within the first half of this year, assuming we don't have any major developmental hurdles along the way. And then once we've got that run and we've built some hours up on it, we'll be flying later on in this year. So we're aiming for first flight within this year, with the engine running about halfway through.
Right, fantastic. And in terms of customers getting hands on aircraft, I guess
so as long as we stick to that timeline and the authorities are able to approve in the timeline that we'd agreed previously, then we're still on track to be delivering machines later the following year, so 25.
Yeah.
What sort of
sorry, Dave. Mike Roberts asked, the combustor looks 3D printed. Is that the case?
The combustor in that engine that you just showed a picture of was 3D printed. That's just a display unit. Our combustor is painstakingly sheet metal fabricated. So if you look at that picture, the bit that I'm touching at the top is the combustor casing. That's an investment cast component. And then the combustor itself inside, the actual thinner part that feeds around to the gas generator turbine, that's sheet metal formed. So that's a mixture of pressed nickel alloy material and rolled nickel alloy material. So we do all of that stuff here at the DC1 facility in Rugeley.
So what about costs, Jason? What's it going to cost to buy, build, and to operate?
The list price for HX50 is 595,000, and there are still a few discounts available for early adopters. Once we fly, they'll be gone for good. And the operating costs for a typical 100-hour owner in the UK will be somewhere between £250 and £300 an hour. So one of the things that we're doing to bring that down as well is insurance is often a big barrier for helicopter owners, because the asset is so expensive and they're so easy to damage, and they're so expensive to replace the bits that you've damaged. We're partially underwriting the hull value. Because we make everything, I can afford to insure the machine on a fleet policy for what it costs me to replace it, not what we charge the customers. So we're artificially dragging down the hull value to make them more insurable. So at the moment, we're targeting about £5,000 a year to insure one of these things, which is a very good price for a 5-seat turbine helicopter, with a similar spend for your 100-hour and your annual maintenance at the end of the year. So about 10k a year in fixed costs. Just add fuel at £100 an hour.
Yeah. And all these numbers are truly revolutionary, really, aren't they? For kind of turbine powered product in the market.
They are, but what you've got to remember is, in a market that is not competitive, the price of the product is not set by what it costs to develop and manufacture. It's set by what they think they can charge for it. And so what we've done is we've taken a look at what people can afford to buy, and we're trying to maximize the product of margin versus volume, right? So we're trying to pitch the product at a price that will bring general aviation back to life, get more people flying again, and then build all of the withering infrastructure that we've got around us. Bring that all back to a level where there's enough people using it and engaging in it that it becomes a healthy industry again. So yeah, it's really not okay. There is some skepticism out there that, as soon as we're into production, or costs will creep up as we go into. They won't. We're a million miles away from that. We are in complete control of our costs, and my objective isn't to make this any more expensive. If I go any more expensive than I am at the moment with HX50, do the sums yourself, it becomes unfinanceable. You can't finance it at the same price as you can finance a supercar. So you lose that mass market, and then it becomes a spiral of smaller volume, smaller volume, and less people to amortize the costs over. So the price has been very deliberately pitched to make sure that we can get the volume to make this a healthy industry again.
Yeah, I read an interview with you in an engineering publication, and you said your aim is to have 500 people making 500 helicopters a year. And beyond that, in fact, you want to produce scalable technologies so you can make bigger, more sophisticated helicopters. And you also said other types of aircraft. So if we could we can make it cheaper or less expensive. We can make it less expensive to fixed-wing aircraft. That will be a tremendously useful thing to people like us.
Yeah, well, what you have to understand is that the downside of what we've done with all of this vertical integration is it takes ages, right? It's really difficult to learn how to be a manufacturer in all of the different things you need to do to build an engine, an aircraft, and a suite of avionics at a realistic price. But once you've done that, that gives you all sorts of opportunities. And what we've essentially built here is a general aviation manufacturing platform. So yes, we can apply our composite structures, our gearbox technologies, our bearing technologies, our engine technology, our avionics to bigger and different helicopters. But we can equally well apply that to light aircraft. So our technology, our sort of product rollout roadmap is very much about taking the GT50 engine and developing a bigger helicopter with that, maybe using multiple engines, and developing a single and a twin engine light aircraft as well. Because with that range of products, we can have the greatest impact on bringing the industry back to life that we can without having to develop more tech. So we'll do that, and then we'll look at what other opportunities are available after that.
Yeah, well, I mean, time's ticking away. So I guess one last question. I mean, the aviation industry is trying to decarbonize. How is this affecting your future?
We're the pragmatists in all of this. So we're the people that can actually really make a difference in the short term, because whether people accept it or not, batteries are not going to be effective in aircraft for a long time. And hydrogen comes with its own problems. It has such a low density that you need such a big space to put it in, that both of those technologies will end up with aircraft that are worse than we've got today. Now, everybody that's on this stream will be aware of how difficult it is to make money out of light aircraft. And if you then take their performance away or take their mission flexibility away, you've got no chance. So our approach to all of this is essentially to develop the GT50 engine to be the first engine that's certified out of the box to run on biofuels, so sustainable aviation fuels or even synthetic fuels, so that with something like a cellulose-based biofuel, we can get between 80 and 100% carbon neutrality just using technology that works and is available today. And we've got partners within our customer base that have the technology to produce that fuel and are rolling that out to the business jet community. So in the short term, what you'll find will actually happen is biofuel will substitute the old fuels to make the existing aircraft carbon neutral. And it will be a long time before any of these electric platforms or hydrogen platforms are remotely close to being viable for a commercial operator or private owner. So I think we've got a good 10 or 15 years doing what we're doing now before we would need to change track to a more electric solution. But don't think that the helicopter industry is sleeping. I remember being at Westland in the late 1990s and seeing reports for electric helicopters and more electric helicopters that dated back to the 1980s. Everybody knows that if it moves, it should be powered by an electric motor, right? But until we can store electricity effectively, that's not going to be viable for many transport applications, certainly not aircraft. So if you want to have a real impact on the environment, you've got to make sure that the proposed route is viable, and that means it's got to be commercially viable and technically viable and deliverable in a timescale that will make a difference. And so we've chosen to be pragmatic. We're very responsible in the way that we do our manufacturing in terms of energy and resource consumption. These machines last for 50 years in service. So the sort of carbon footprint of the machine as a vehicle is very good. And then we use biofuel or synthetic fuel to run them on. So we're not creating any negative impact in terms of carbon emissions from fossil fuels.
Has anyone from the government been in touch about HS2?
Yeah, sadly not. No.
We're going to have to wrap it up there to get to Fancy Hanger. Jason, I know you're going to hang around for the to be judge of that. Just a few things I'm going to pick up in the comments. Richard Kennedy says, "So you are actually Dr. Helicopter." Fernando says, "In an industry that's so resistant and even negative to progress, your determination and passion is refreshing." Skydriller says, "If you can pull this off, it'll be the new R22 helicopter revolution." And to sum it up, Darren Eretique says, "We need to bottle Dr. Hill's drive and determination and spread it all around the industry. Very best of luck." So,
that's very kind. Thank you to everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. We're going to stick you in the green room, and we're going to whiz off and do Fancy Hanger. So we'll see you shortly. So sometimes I see guests on the live stream, and I feel exhausted. You know, and Jason Hill is one of those people, because you go, my God, there's so much going on here, and he's clearly a huge motivation behind so much of it. So helicopters is the factor behind Fancy Hanger this week. So we've tasked ourselves with picking record-breaking helicopters. So who's first?
I've just talked a lot, so perhaps somebody else ought to.
Okay, let's go with Dave White.
Okay, all right. I'm very happy to go first because helicopters are fantastic, and there is a long tradition of world-beating rotorcraft in the UK. I'm going to go for something which happened nearly 38 years ago, just down the road from me. The Lynx World Helicopter World Speed Record. G-Lynx, 11th of August, 1986.
What?
Yes, exactly. And that record still stands for a conventional helicopter. Flew over the Somerset levels at just over 400 kilometers an hour, which is nearly 249 miles an hour. That painting, that great painting of it going over the levels there, by a lovely chap called Dave Gibbings, who was part of the Westland team involved in that record, is lovely, and to me that really brings forward the drama of that exercise. The pilot was Trevor Eggington, lovely chap. The flight test engineer was Derek Clues, and less than a year later, I, as a very junior engineer, was involved in the Lynx Mark 7. We used a lot of this technology, Burt rotor blades and the rest, in their hot and high trials in the United States. And we got out of the airport at Denver. We're going to pick up our hire car, and we knew the Westlands team had got there before us, because every rubbish bin in that hire company lot was covered in a world speed record sticker. It's a real sports car of a helicopter. So Lynx Mark 7 world speed record. You know you want it. G-Lynx
just for sheer Britishness, that is a really strong start. Annabelle.
Yes. So interestingly, did you know that the Chinook holds the record for the longest non-stop helicopter sortie in India, flying for 7.5 hours, covering 1,910 kilometers, or 1,187 miles. I believe it also holds the record for the most produced tandem rotor helicopter. There are a few aircraft that can be identified by sound alone, The sound of the Chinook is so iconic that people even call it a whocker. And so, some of you know that I have a thing about aircraft with faces. And if you look at the Chinook from behind, it has a fantastic surprise face. Vote Chinook.
Okay, and I have to confess, I'm scouring the internet right now because I realised I forgot to do your photo and stick it in our.
Hang on. This one.
You're going to have to. There we go. Yeah, for anyone on planet Earth who doesn't know what Chinook looks like, that is perhaps the legendary. Oh, there we go. Everyone's got Chinook photos.
I'm in that Chinook.
Okay, of course. And a big orange head. Dave, DC.
Well, I do think I've chosen a bad choice here. Actually, it's a lovely helicopter, the MD 500E. It set a world record with Simon Oliphant Hope back in 2004, flying around the world. It's a very fast, lovely little helicopter, great handling, and it's got a speed of 152 knots VNE, range of 280 nautical miles, but it's still available. It's been around for a long time. I think this was called the Hughes 500, wasn't it? And
it's a real sweet looking helicopter, and
it's so cute.
Yeah, growing up watching Magnum PI, it's like it was the Hughes 500 was really influential on small children and helicopters, I'm sure.
Yeah. Of course, Simon had to do his record twice actually because he was flying around in 2001 originally in September, and it got halted. So. Right twice.
Very good. That's a strong choice. However, I feel that mine, I'm pretty sure I can beat you all. If only in size, maybe not in prettiness. And I've got a good use case in mind. So I picked this, the S-64 Sky Crane. It's Sikorsky's heavy lift helicopter. And in 1968, James Paul Irvin, who was a United States Army pilot, set 2 FAI world records for time to altitude while flying one of these. He reached 3,000 meters, which is 9,800 feet, in 1 minute 38 seconds, and 9,000 meters in 7 minutes 54 seconds. The first 20,000 feet he did in a straight vertical climb. Now, folklore records that during the record attempts, regional air traffic called a commercial airliner, which was cruising at 17,000 feet, and said, be advised, there's a helicopter in your 9 o'clock position descending out at 27,000 feet at 4,000 feet per minute, to which the airliner replied, good Lord, you made it up here now as well. 105 were made. Payload is 25,000 pounds, powered by two 4,800 shaft horsepower Pratt & Whitney engines. Nowadays, they're operated by Erickson Air Crane of Central Point, Oregon. It's not pretty, I give you, but what a fantastic machine. And I've picked it purely because I reckon this would be a great way to go camping in Oshkosh. So I recognise that, it might be a bit of a faux pas if you turn up in the campsite and blow everyone else's tents away with this. But it would get rid of the mosquitoes at least. So
that vertical climb record, it's got a bit of a head start, hasn't it, Ed?
It's already really quite tall. So yeah.
Hey Ed, the fun thing about that helicopter is if you go back to the picture of the green one, you've actually got 3 sets of flying controls. So the 2 guys facing forward, obviously, but you see the little glass bit at the back of the cockpit there.
Yes.
There's a set of controls there, so you can accurately position the aircraft over the load and then pick the load up.
Oh wow!
So 3 people fighting over the controls. What fun would that be?
That's great. I like that idea. So just going to quickly run through the comments. So we have. Fairy Rotodyne. Not really a helicopter. Cessna Skyhook will be the winner. Never set any records, sadly, I don't think.
Not even for ugliness.
Ugliness. Straight away, Dave wins. Hughes 500 from Magnum PI, the coolest. Oh, yeah. NASA the Ingenuity helicopter. That was a good.
I considered that for my hangar, but I wondered
Yeah.
it actually be much use on the
That's
ground.
it. There we go. Dave's already won. What do we got? Ericsson Sky Crane. Oh, that was an early one. Milne 12, Bell 47. Dave wins. Dave wins. Ed wins. Dave W wins. Annabelle wins. Ugly Annabelle wins. Dave W wins.
Rude.
Yeah, very rude. I'll say it says not as pretty as Airwolf, and I do know that Dr. Hill is a big fan of Airwolf. What else have we got? Oh, EC-120 flown by Fred North, who was a guest on this show a while back. Doesn't the Lynx hold the world record for going backwards at 90 knots? I believe it does.
Probably does, and of course with the semi-rigid rotor head, the rigid rotor head, it's aerobatic aircraft as well, properly aerobatic.
Yeah, Stuart Rue's got some advice for me. He just said stick to aerobatic. DC wins, Ed wins. What have we got? Skyhook set altitude. Oh, okay, altitude records. I'll have to check that out. Bristol Belvedere. Okay, but I think what we're going to have to do is call in our Dr. Helicopter and say, Dr. Jason Hill, who would you pick out of those four?
I think my vote would have to go to the Lynx. I'm afraid going that fast in a helicopter is spectacularly difficult, and all of those other machines were developed with huge amounts of American military money. The Lynx was done on a relative shoestring by comparison, and that speed record was actually done as a sales stunt when Lynx orders had dried up and the company was really struggling. So that's the plucky Brits coming through. So yeah, for it being a very technically difficult thing to do and done under duress, the Lynx gets my vote. And of course, I've trained at Westland, so I'm a little bit biased.
Okay, yeah. Well,
that's a bunch of lovely people.
Yeah, well, that's official. And Dave White, you are the fully endorsed winner. So. DC, you've got a few events for us, and then it must be time to sign off.
Yep, there's a host of Gasco safety evenings, which you can all find on the Flyer website. Next weekend, this weekend, the 17th and 18th, is the 80th anniversary of Sandtoft Airfield. And looking ahead, just because we've got a helicopter focus this week, the world's biggest helicopter trade show, known as HAI Heli Expo, is in California on the 27th to the 29th of February. Should you fancy going?
I'm guessing you. I wonder whether you might be far too busy.
No, we're going there. That's our debut at the show. So both of the ground demonstrator prototypes are there. We've got a rotor head there, an engine there, and a bunch of the team as well. So yeah, we're looking forward to that.
That is going to be fantastic. Well, thank you again for joining us and being such a fantastic guest. We can only wish you well. If we can wish you well, but I think you're well on the way to a very, very successful package there. Everyone else, thanks for joining us. Don't forget Livestream Extra on Wednesday at 3:00 next week. Otherwise, team, thank you, and we'll see you all again next week, Thursday night at 7:30. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, Glenn.
Bye.